All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And one vacant.
Okay, right now we are way over fire code on people in here.
Not it.
What's that?
Not it.
What we're going to have to do is, what I would like to do is, I know all the athletes are here because of what we're talking about. If I could get the captains of each team and their coaches and everybody else wait outside for us, and then have your captains bring your stuff forward for us. We're allowed 50 people in here, and we're way over.
Not like this.
Not like this. We had standing room only last time. We did not expect this many people. That's, I mean, if you guys want to do that and stay here and have the fire marshal come in and shut us down.
That's fine. That's
So we'll take our chances.
All of this for 2 weeks.
If they table it for 2 weeks, we're going to sell out of this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, we're talking about. Yeah, let's take it.
No.
That's the information people want to know. I know. We've had, if it's the financial information that you really want to know, we've had 3 meetings on that. And I was at one of them, and there's only 3 people there. So.
This is the first thing my wife has got on her phone about the financial part.
Okay.
And that's why I'm here.
Okay. That's fine, but we can't have this many people in. So if the athletes will do us that favor, and get your team captains, and your team captains stay in, because I know it's going to affect your whole teams. So, and the coaches, I'd really like to have the coaches stay in.
So my girls are going to need to go outside for Friday.
Would it be possible to move the meeting to the gym at the high school?
So in response to actually physically moving, that question was brought up, but we're not allowed to relocate this without 72 hours notice.
Gotcha.
And even simply moving from here to the cafeteria is a no-go. Okay.
Going outside.
Well, so
You guys can sit outside,
Yeah.
outside and wait.
we would like for the athletes just to remain right there
Hey, how
and
about-
try to hear.
Could I have a suggestion? We all have smartphones. Is there anybody that can put their phone, someone in here and someone else call out there and hold their phone up for a live stream?
Facebook.
Do we have a couple of teenagers that are smart can do that for us? Thank you. You guys are way better at that than us.
We got a room full of them.
And then if you guys have something to say, come to the door and let us know.
Can we open those windows? Yes. So they can hear it. You go.
Yeah, there you go. Great suggestion.
Miss Reader, I have a picture. So do we all just stay? Are we all just winners?
How many high school kids do we have here? We got 50 high school kids. And their coach, why don't we let all the kids stay? Yeah. And see where we're at with their coaches for all the teams.
Thank you, John.
You know, if we've done this longer than 72 hours, then you're going to have this kind of turnout. It is real fun. We are a small community, and you knew what you were going to get. Oh, come on.
I'll be a team.
You're going to cancel all the games. Right now, let's see how many that is. Just so we know. And the coaches. Let's see how many people that is.
That's it.
Maybe. Maybe. I never seen you never at the game.
Yeah, right. Are you going to be at the game?
Yes, sir.
Aren't you going to up it?
Yes, sir. Of course I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there. All right, love you.
I don't think what they might be. I think what they I don't have it.
Everybody stand up, let the leader clear.
Now we can't even find anything. Yeah.
United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Senator Kern. David Gray.
Here.
Roger Harris.
Here.
Sorry, can you speak up, please?
Approve agenda.
No, wait. You have to report out. In closed session, make a motion that we take student petition P 22-15-16 to deny the reinstatement.
Is that your motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. On student petition for reinstatement P 18-17-18 to permit conditional reinstatement.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Reinstatement for student number P 20-16-17 to permit reinstatement with conditions.
Second by Kern. All in favor?
Aye. On
A record of this meeting is
I'd like to make an amendment. On the agenda, I would like to move athletics to the front so we can get that done. And we can clear some of these people because we are violating some laws that we need to make sure that we get that done.
second by Kern. All in favor?
Aye.
A record of this meeting is being made and shall be kept for 30 days as public record. Members of the public may address the board on any item within jurisdiction of the board by submitting presentation requests to the secretary. Members of the public are strongly urged not to mention personnel by name and are reminded that they do not have immunity from legal action if personnel are named. The board may limit each speaker to 3 minutes with a total of 20 minutes per topic. People wishing to speak on the item that is on the board agenda will be called upon at that time and will be considered. People wishing to speak on the item that are not on the board agenda will be called upon this time. Since the board generally cannot take action on items not on the agenda, such items will be referred to the superintendent for handling. Okay, Mr. Schroeder, first.
Schroeder.
Is this on? All right. You can call me either one.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
don't call me late for dinner.
There you go.
John, you can stand. Oh, we're good. No. I appreciate you giving me a minute here to talk to you all tonight. Just to start out, there's hardship. We're all facing hardship right now, and in my experience as a coach, as a teacher, as a human being, there's two ways that we can respond to hardship. We can either go to our individual corners and try to survive on our own, or we can come together and we can survive as a community. If we try to scatter, if we try to go each to our own corner and weather this storm on our own, we're not going to survive. The only way we're going to make it through this financial crisis is if we unite. We come together and we work together. And there's two things that have to happen for us to come together and unite as a community. The very first thing is we need to be communicating with each other. Communication is the lifeblood that keeps a community surviving and thriving. If you cut off blood flow to any member of your body, it's going to die. It's going to fall off. We don't want that to happen. But the second thing that you have to have in order for a community to come together and unite is you have to have the philosophy that if one part suffers, all suffer. And with that said, we're not coming here tonight as coaches to say, hey, we don't want to have to suffer. We don't want to have to experience cuts. We don't want to experience hardships. That's not what we're here to say. We understand there's a financial crisis. We understand when that happens, we all need to tighten our belts. We all need to tighten our budgets. What we would like is the opportunity just to share with you our collective knowledge, our collective experience. And we have some ideas for ways that the district can help us cut corners so that we can reduce the budget while hurting our student athletes to the least. So that's the goal. Three things I want to go over with you all here tonight. The first is what's been asked of us as coaches. I want to really clearly outline that for you, explain why it's difficult and why it's very costly to our students. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about what we've been doing. And then we're going to make 3 proposals as coaching staff from the high school to you tonight for ways that we think we could really help the district reduce the amount of money they have to give to athletics, but at the same time, not hurt our student athletes. So first thing, the first thing is we put in an RFP last year for game balls. And when you compete in CIF, there's rules. There's regulations for the equipment that you use. You can't just go into the gym and grab a ball from the gym class and use that. You have to use game balls. And we're requesting that the district continues to fund those because it's a necessary item to be a competitive school in CIF. The second thing, we've been asked to eliminate our Saturday contests. There's a couple problems with this. The first problem is a lot of our teams are small enough that we only need a van on a Saturday. So you actually don't need to pay a bus driver on a Saturday. Somebody doesn't have to work overtime. Coaches don't get paid overtime. You get paid one stipend. So it's no extra money for us to work on a Saturday. The only cost would be fuel for the vans. It actually makes more fiscal sense for the district to give us a van on a Saturday than on a weekday. On a weekday, you have to cover subs for the coaches who are out of the classroom. So it's not making very much of a fiscal impact to take away our Saturdays from us. Those are the two things that have been asked for us. And big picture, It's really important to think big picture about every single decision that's made here. When you take away these tournaments, when you take away these games, you're affecting every single team's ability to place in CIF. At the end of the year, if you seed well in CIF, you have more home games. If you have more home games, you don't have to travel as far or as much. You save a lot of money on the other end because you allowed those teams to be competitive in CIF throughout their entire season. Let me share with you just a couple of the things that we as a coaching staff have been doing for the last several years. I've been coaching at Roseman High School for 15 years, and during that time we've done a lot. We've done a lot for our programs. We're not asking the district to help us completely. We actually do most everything in-house. So just a couple things that we do ourselves. We use our athletic gate money to fund all of our required dues. So CIF dues, HDL, that's $2,600 per year. We fund all our own official costs at a cost of approximately $24,000 per year. We cover that. We as coaches right here, we raise the money, we take care of that. We've got you covered. Our athletic teams fundraise half of their uniform costs for every sport on a 4-year rotation. Athletic teams fundraise 100% of their tournament costs, which average approximately $1,500 per sport per year, for an approximate total of $20,000 annually. We're raising $20,000 to pay so that our kids can go to tournaments. The district doesn't pay any of that. I don't know if any of you know that. If you have a child athlete, you know that, because we're constantly fundraising to pay so they can go to invitationals, so they can go to tournaments, so that they can be competitive at the CIF level. Over the past 7 years, RHS Athletics has sought out and received tens of thousands of dollars in donations to do RHS facility improvement projects, like adding an additional scoreboard to the RHS gym. We took care of that. Painting murals in the RHS gym, scorekeeper tables used for the RHS gym sports, refurbishing the signs for the RHS football field, athletic chairs and rugs for the RHS gym sports, baseball scoreboards, softball scoreboards, gym safety padding for the staging area. We took care of that. We made sure our kids were safe. For you guys, we helped you out. Refurbishing and continued purchasing of all RHS League and CIF title banners in the RHS gym. Weight room equipment donations from ABC in excess of $5,000. 5-man football sled, approximately $5,000. Travel bags for football players, approximately $4,000. Portable water hydration stations for all outdoor sports. These are just a sampling of a few things that we came up with off the top of our head in a quick meeting. Not only that, but this year we've actually already reduced the number of meets and tournaments that we're doing this year. CIF already actually knocked it down. For my part, cross country, we've reduced the number of meets we're going to go to by 3 already this year. And then we're asked to take away another 3. That's 6 of our meets that we're not going to go to. That's almost cutting my season in half. Other sports, boys soccer has reduced its away tournaments, so will only allow 1 per level. And they hosted their first tournament last season to create more revenue for the program. Boys and girls basketball, boys and girls volleyball, boys and girls soccer, baseball, and softball have all had their schedules reduced from 30 games to 28 games a school year because of the new CIF Central Section rule. So just keep that in mind. We've already cut out 2 before you start cutting more away from us. More reduction is going to really hurt our seeding at CIF. It's going to really hurt our programs. It's going to really hurt our kids. The schedules for boys volleyball, JV girls soccer, JV boys soccer, and freshman boys basketball programs rely significantly on playing tournaments on the weekends to get playing time because they do not have a league to play in. I don't know if you know that these kids, they don't get to play in the midweek games because our league doesn't have enough teams for JV, for cross soccer. So the only time these kids get to play is when they travel on the weekend. You take that away from them, they don't have those opportunities. They don't have a team. They don't have a sport. Last year, boys volleyball did not use any buses for their transportation. They're a small enough team. They only drove vans. They're not in a league yet, so all their meets are on weekends. They need those opportunities to get away. For our football team, we only have 9 games scheduled right now, which is 1 less than we had last year. If we take away one of the football games, it's real important you get this. If we take away that football game, they have to pay half of the gate fee to the team that they already have a contract with. Most of us have already paid our tournament dues. If we break contract, we have to pay that, and we pay that out of kid money. So you're asking us, you're not giving us funds for us to travel. What do we have to do? We still have to pay. We already have contracts. We do this way in advance, and we have to pay with all that we have is kid money. So the kids still have to pay for it. They still have to fundraise. This year they have to fundraise to pay for tournaments we're not going to let them travel to, because we have to pay for those contracts. That hurts everybody. That's not helpful on any end. You know, all of that said, I also want you to understand what an awesome group of kids you have. In Roseman High School, we hold our athletes to a very high standard. I talked to other coaches. I have not found another school that has as high standards for their student athletes as we do. Not only do they have to maintain the mandatory 2.0, but we have the no Fs policy. We have the attendance policy. We have the behavior contract policy. We are on all of these kids. Now, on top of that, last year, every single one of our varsity teams had a 3.0 or higher cumulative GPA. Also, 2017, I guess I should brag a little bit, my team for the first time ever won all CIF academic first team. The first for our You know, as a professor at ABC and as a department chair at Roseman High School, I understand the educational benefits of sports. I constantly work with my athletes because they are usually my best students. They care the most, they work the hardest. We do not want to hurt these things. So this is what we like to propose. We think that there's 3 ways that you could cut some funds from our programs. It's not going to hurt the kids as much. So the very first thing is we would like to propose that for the next 2 school years, or when the budget deficit ends, RHS Athletics will only submit RFPs for mandatory equipment necessary to play our sports and maintain student safety. So all we're asking is for things like game balls, first aid supplies, football equipment, reconditioning, replacement of athletic protective equipment if broken within the time period, so like helmets, catcher's gear, pads, etc. And the facility needs for contests, that's paint, chalk, dirt, etc. Okay, so all I'm asking for my sport is 1 shot, maybe. I don't know, that'd be cool. This is what this would save you. This would save you a total. Each of us coaches wrote down how much we've gotten in RFPs for the last 2 years that we would not ask for in the next 2 years. That'd be a total savings for the district of $26,850. If we didn't ask for those supplies, we only are asking for what's necessary. We could save the district $26,850. Our second proposal, the second way we think that we can save the district some money, is that for the next 2 school years, or end of the budget deficit, RHS Athletics will suspend its 4 years matching uniform rotations. The savings for us, if we did that for the next 2 years, would be $17,900. And that's in addition to the other $26,850. So we could save the district. That's money that they've spent on us for the last 2 years. We appreciate it, but we'd rather you took that money than taking a van away from us. You really could use those vans if you'd help us out with that. And that's the last thing. RHS coaching staff, we as coaches got together and we said, we will pledge to reduce transportation costs as much as possible without affecting playoff seeding opportunities. We are in the central section. That was a move that, as a school board, you said you'd support us on. And we have to travel a bit as a central section team to get seeded. We have to compete against central section teams. And some of them live a ways away. We got to go up the Central Valley. We got to go and drive through all the stinky towns, right? That's just part of doing business. We will attempt to use school vans as often as possible. We have several teams that are small enough that we could drive a couple vans. We could pay a bus driver overtime. We'll attempt to schedule contests on the weekend, because that actually saves you money if we do it on the weekend, so you don't have to pay for subs for us. For example, RHS Girls Volleyball, they're small enough this season they could use 1 van to transport each team. Their team would be fine if you just gave them of vans and not need a bus for the entire season, just 2 vans. For my cross-country team, I could fit my whole team in 3 vans. We have 3 coaches, 3 vans. We could be set for the whole season, not need a bus a single time. I'm sort of good at math. I think that would save you a lot of money. Because from what I understand, machines cost less than humans, right? Us humans were expensive. That's why I have a job, because I need to train the next generation of engineers to build those robots so we still have jobs. You guys all heard that, right? Get STEM degrees. Sorry about that. I had to say that. Okay. So we believe that these cuts could have the same fiscal benefit to our district without doing any damage to these kids, allowing them to continue to play, allowing them to not have to fundraise to pay for broken contracts, allowing them to continue to compete at the level that they have been doing with no damage to them. So we really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Angela Sanchez. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I usually have a loud voice. I don't think I need the microphone. So my name is Angela Sanchez. I am a mother of 4 sons, 1 a recent graduate of Roseman High School, and 3 still attending Southern Kern Unified School District. In addition to being a mother, I'm a president of Roseman Little League and a volunteer for most sports programs in the district, from the junior high level to the high school level. Excuse me, I'm nervous, so. I'm hearing, obviously we just heard, that this board plans on making major cuts to these programs. I'm here to provide my perspective on how this will impact our community as well as our students. I say our students because not only do I volunteer for my own sons, but I do for all the kids, all the children in our community, many who are here today. And I assume that you are all in the position for the same reason, in the position you're in for the same reason, for all the children. Again, I don't know all the details of what you planned, but I do want you to know that in the past 5 years, my children and my family have been part of a building legacy here within Roseman Sports. For example, Roseman High School baseball achieved High Desert League championship 4 years in a row. Roseman football team, CIF qualifiers last year. In 2017, Roseman Wrestling was had one of the best wrestler turnouts in years. I mention these successes because I was able to see firsthand what quality coaches, resources, and district support was able to build. The players involved with these programs built lasting memories, gained mentors, achieved academic success because they had something to strive for, and they stayed out of trouble.
Yes, they did.
I'm a social worker for Los Angeles County who also holds an MSW. I say that not to gloat, but because I know firsthand and have experience and am able to state that statistics show that children involved with extracurricular activities are more likely to stay out of prison and off of drugs. And these programs are often outlets from homes that they are being abused.
Yes.
In addition, the players and students will come back and give back to our community. For example, many of our coaches, I did name some, but we were not allowed to, I heard a little spill, were graduates from Roseman and who are also athletes here in Roseman. They all have come back and gave back, and from my experience with them, they all appear to be productive adults. taking away our sports programs and telling our players and coaches that that dedicate their time that we have to forfeit or we cannot provide you with quality equipment is telling them we don't care about what they are trying to build here in Roseman. Unless you've been given a game, unless you've been to a game, seen the win, came to a family dinner, hung out at a practice, seen the coaches who have family waiting for them at home, but instead stay and talk to your child because they're having a hard time. Or even just take the time to speak with the athlete. You don't understand what this will do to many of these kids. I've seen this all done. I'm almost done. I've seen success. I understand that this district is in a financial crisis. I also understand that now is not the time to tell you as a parent I am disappointed. Instead, I will try to take a proactive approach. How can I help? I also ask the parents, the staff, and the students here today to take a proactive approach. Ask what you can do to help. Work together, fundraise, streamline the volunteer process, etc. I ask you as a board and district, instead of just cutting programs and making rash decisions, I ask you to thoroughly think about these decisions through and think about what long-term effects they will have on our community and our reputation as competing sports teams. We can't afford to lose students or coaches. Thank you for your time, and always Roseman proud.
Good job, Hello, everybody. I'm here to speak about a different sports team. We don't get lumped in a lot, but I'm here, and I bet you know that I'm loud, so I bet you can guess which team it's going to be. Our cheerleaders. Okay, I bow down to you, by the way, because you pretty much said everything. So I'm going to try and make it positive. I did hear, perhaps, that we will be allowed to transport our children to away games. Was that not something I heard? Okay, so that is what I will touch base on. You know that if you take away from these kids, it hurts them. So, as Ms. Sanchez said, what she said, we need to come together. We would like to find out if we'd be allowed to get more volunteers and drive our own children. If that is going to be our only option, I'm hoping that can be approved, because in the past that has not been. So I was hearing positive things about that, so I was hoping we could end on that positivity, but I'm getting blank books, so that's not good. Okay, so that is all I came to say. Our girls are willing to fundraise and earn money to go wherever they need to go. But if we don't have a way to get there, then I don't know what we'll be doing. So if you guys could please maybe make a decision on that as soon as you can and let us know.
I'll respond, only because we have the right to respond to Mark. We're not actually able to do anything, but the answer is yes. You can organize the parents to take their children to your competitions, whether it's cheerleading, cross country. So this is not going through the school district. They're not going to volunteer for us. They're going to take it on their own accord to carry their kids there.
We can get them.
Correct. And
is any liability needed
this is the same thing. This is the same thing that the middle school districts throughout the entire Antelope Valley do for their middle school. But we're not with CIF on our preseason game. Okay.
Yes, you
well,
are.
so
yes, you are. Dave, you're wrong. You are part of CIF.
Legal will confirm.
At your request, I looked it up. There's no CIF rule that says we have to transport, that the school district has to transport kids to school.
But we would definitely appreciate the community's involvement in helping us out in that manner. So I appreciate that comment.
I would think that parents that have children on teams would be more than willing to get volunteers cleared. We did have a question about liability. You're saying it doesn't go through the district, so is there something that will have to be signed?
Well, that's what we'll have to find out.
All right, those are my questions. I just look at all these faces and no way, don't do this. Don't. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Also, to respond to Mr. Schrader's comments as well, we certainly appreciate the coaches for figuring out ways to cut their costs. Anything you can do, as Ms. Hargis has already told you, please submit to her so that we can look to further meet our deficit.
Okay, if everybody was here for the sports stuff, please leave the room so we don't get in trouble.
We are in season, so we do have competitions that are coming up that right now are in limbo. So as soon as we can get an answer, that'd be awesome. Yeah, we have to let organizations know we're breaking contract with you. The sooner we can do that, the less we have to.
No, we understand. If you win, thank Thank you, kids, for coming. Thank you so much. Trinity.
Of course I should. I served in the district over 25 years, and this past December we were called to the office to let us know that they were terminating our position as attendance clerk because they hire a coordinator of attendance and they hire somebody else for the district office too. In the 17 years that I work as an attendance clerk, I have never had any problems relating to the auditors finding my school because my reports were not done properly. In those 17 years, we never went down less than 95% of the attendance because we had a contact with the parents. We knew the families. If little girl AZ, we knew she had surgeries, that she will miss school because she was recovering for the surgeries, will mark her up ill because we knew what she was going through. These days, this past year, the same girl was out because of her surgeries and because she was recovering, because she wasn't feeling well. The parent was busy taking care of her. She was my one excuse. How? You know, we know the parents, we know our kids. We have a contact with the parents like that. Unfortunately, this year, they hired the coordinator, the attendance wasn't done the same way. A lot of mistakes were done. If we went down 92%, if the auditors really look, we're gonna owe the state more money. We're gonna be under 92% because the reports were not clear all the way. They were left one period out of the day. We work with periods at Tropical, the same as the high school. So if a student, the teacher forgot to mark the student absent for period 5, the district claimed attendance for that day for that student. That student wasn't at school. So we know those little details. We know how to fix them. I work hard all those years, and I always, I'm not gonna say that I'm 100% close to. I took care of and pride on what I did. 3 days before Christmas, I was calling to the office of the superintendent. 3 days before Christmas break, to let us know that they were going to get rid of our positions. They took 35 cents out of my salary to fix the problems in the district. And I became a clerk. So right now, I don't do anything regarding attendance because I'm not attendance anymore. They handle here at the district. What I want to say is we are in hardship right now. We are still at the school. Let us have the attendance back at the school. Let's save that money from those two coordinators. Let's do the registration back to the school. We made mistakes, but they're still making mistakes there. And they're paying 12 months employees with benefits. We can save that money. Let's bring it back to the school. It took me 25 years to get where I was for them to take me down. I mean, I had many years I did not have a raise. Okay, I did what I thought it was best for the district. I was always a team player. I've always been a team player with the district. And for them to do this. Bring the attendance and the registration back to the school. It's easier for the parents, it's easier for us. We don't have to be correcting mistakes all the time. When Yolanda was there, Yolanda did everything. She was Yolanda and Ms. Hargus in that office. Now we have like 6 people there doing what they were doing. Same with the business office. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people there. When we only have 2 people there. And then those persons were absent, Yolanda had to go and work those positions too, besides her job. So we're having a hardship. Let's go back to minimize the district, grew too much, and we have too much problems now. Right? Background net was 1 person. Now we have like 4. And he did everything. Same with special ed. We have 1 person and the assistant superintendent worked under that. Now we have 2 secretaries for special ed, 1 secretary for ASCEND. It was only 1 person and the director. We're in hardship. Let's size down the district again. It's not my 25 cents that is going to save the district. I mean, it's hurting me. It took me 25 years to get there for you guys to take it away from me and the other clerks. So this is my plea. Bring it back to the school to save money. Get rid of some people in the district. Let's do like we used to do. Payroll was done with insurance. Let's do it again. Let's minimize again. We're having a hardship. It's not our fault that the monies were spent somewhere else. It's not our fault that the board wasn't watching the superintendent. You know, we are the ones that make it happen in our school with the clerks. So please consider that. Regarding attendance, but I understand the sports situation. Let the high school have the sport. I know, I love tropical. I would like for those kids to go do the sport, but they can do youth sport. They can do youth sport. The high school go out. They compete. They strive for these sports, all of them. Let's keep the high school going. And well, yeah, we didn't have sports for many years at tropical. Okay, we're having a hard time. Let's take it back. Let's wait how it goes. Let's bring it back. Same with the stipends for phone, gas.
Yeah.
That should not be. And I use my gas. Right.
I'm Larry Texley, and I work with the CTE and the Health Ed program at Roseman High School. So I want to talk about some things, money actually coming into the district. Okay. Hopefully we have some popularity today. So, go ahead to the next one. So just so you know, career technical education is basically in adult ed. We're targeting those folks who may not want to go to college. There's folks out there that don't want to do that, but they have skills and they want to go into the workforce. So currently at the high school, we're in 8 industry sectors and we're covering 10 pathways. Inside those pathways, we are, and Yeah, don't read the slide. I'm not on it. That inside those pathways, we do some work with unions out of Bakersfield and carpenters unions. We do some work with the IBW for solar. We do work with Northrop Grumman and we're placing kids in those jobs. And we're pretty successful. We get kids going to Northrop Grumman. They call me all excited. I'm making $19, $20 an hour. As an 18 and 19-year-old, I'm jealous because 50 years ago when I was 18 and 19, and then within 6 months, they're saying, hey, I'm on probation and I got a $3 raise. So they're excited and they're talking to their friends. And we're finding it's pretty easy to get the folks in. Okay? Don't smoke weed, get your high school degree, and pass a basic math test, which, Caleb, you heard him speak tonight, he gets them ready for it. Okay? So we have no problem getting the folks in there. A lot of it's advertisement. Okay? So I need the community in here to talk it up. All right? You all got brothers, sisters, friends, aunts, uncles. Talk that up, and I'll also make another plea at the end. So just understand, a lot of things are going on. We work with Tom Hare at Mojave. He works at the employment office there. He's getting people into solar fields, okay? And it all starts by them getting in. We get them basic skills in welding and stuff like that, and then they take those skills and take them to another level. Mrs. Kern, her son, or her grandson, was one of the best welders we had. Okay? He came in as a freshman. I usually don't let freshmen do that, but he was that good. Okay, so he stuck with it for a while. So the kids are doing a lot of great things. On the adult side, we have English second language classes. We have GED classes. We also have adult welding, and we're also going to look at a quasi-auto, change your oil, change your lights, change your wipers, something like that, because a lot of people don't know how to do that, okay, including myself. Mario don't want to hear that, because people don't go in for oil changes anymore, but sorry. But we want to look at something like that too, because it sets people up and it saves them money in the long run. So adult ed, we're looking at ways to expand that as well. So it's not just career tech, we're also looking at adults that may need some help, passing the GED and stuff like that. We're offering those services. So on grants, some of the ones I'll cover: Perkins, CTIG, Incentive Grant, Adult Ed Block Grant, SSP, and I'll explain that. We'll get to Inspire, NASA, Next. All right, Perkins Grant. It's awarded annually. For this year, we awarded $38,000, okay? And this is federal money used to improve programs, okay? In these, realize all these funds go into these programs. I almost got to nail down to the dime, where the money's going, and it goes to that, okay? A lot of it's not going to salaries. We'll talk about some that do go to salaries because it's got to go to improvement of the programs. So digital media. We have old digital cameras, and the industry, through our advisory committee partners, tell us that we are using 4K cameras in that field, okay? If I buy those with the grant money, we're improving. So that's an example of how I can improve something. Through talking with our welding partners, we realized that, hey, there's new welding machines out there. That allows us to buy that stuff. For this year, I'm funding construction trades, transportation, manufacturing, and agriculture. Agriculture's under CTE now for us as well. And I can use it for general or capital outlay. Capital outlay is bigger items, over 5,000 that I got to do it. And I do report quarterly. Next. CTIG, this is also annual, comes from the state. Okay, $100,000 we should be awarded this year, maybe 120. Still yet to be determined. This is competitive grant. It's awarded to initiate, expand, or enhance. Once again, I got to enhance programs. So programs are there. I got to take them to that next level through advisory committees, through advice from people in the field telling us this is where we're going, because companies don't want you operating on a typewriter anymore. They got programs out there, accounting. The old days of using that is gone. It's all electronic. So we've got to go to that according to the advisory committees, who are the people hiring our kids. So they kind of tell us what we have. This is semi-annual reporting, used across all pathways that we have, so I can use it almost anywhere. And the district does have to match on this one. So typically there was a while where it was 1-to-1, it was 1 to 1.5, and then 1 to 2. So for every dollar we get, the district has to spend $2. And most of that is where the salary goes in. So if we pay for a CT teacher, we can match, that's part of the match dollars. Okay? The reason why these grants are here is to start CT programs, but as we go, they kind of wean you off and they want the district to take the responsibility of paying that money. Okay, so kind of understand those nuances. Next, AEPG, this is an adult ed block grant. This is a consortium with ABC and AB Unified. Okay, so we are partnered up with those. Those folks, we go there, we get money, and that's how we support our adult programs. The Pearson Pre-Testing Center, we do have a testing center where we can test people, and it's pretty full, especially on Thursdays because we offer night testing. GED classes, ESL, adult well-being, the apprentice program, we do have we're partnered with ABC, and we train the folks. Our matter of fact, our instructors are contracted with ABC to teach that, and it's pretty successful. I think we got almost 10 employees from that. Next cohort starts September 10th. So if you want anybody wanting to get into the construction business, send it to us. Once again, don't smoke weed, be a graduate, and pass the math test. Simple as that, right? Specialized secondary program. This is one that we considered for. We got $35,000 for the initial year, and this is for curriculum development. So we know we want to go manufacturing because what's one of the biggest industries around here? Airframe manufacturing. Okay, so we can get kids directly in there. So this one pays our teacher to take days off, so I can pay for a sub for him to develop curriculum. So once we meet all these guidelines to develop curriculum, at that point we can get filed on dollars, $75,000 to $100,000 to expand that program. Okay, that's getting the CNC machine, getting those machines that we need. So understand, we have to meet the requirements, and more money comes. Okay, and we meet those requirements, $35,000 will cover that. Next. The Inspire Grant, this is offered through Air Force Research Lab, and it supports STEM programs. Okay, STEM programs are really hot. We got Cyber Patriot, we got robotics team that does very well. Went to nationals last year. Project Lead the Way, it can go to anything STEM related. Okay, $10,000 typically doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot when you're the student getting that stuff. Okay, so, go ahead. The Haas Foundation. Haas is a big CNC machine and we're into racing and all this good stuff. They give us $2,000 to give a scholarship to our kids. Once again, does not sound like a lot, but that kid, $2,000 difference when you're going to school or not, it doesn't make benefits, right? I do have to report annually on that as well. And kids use that for competition. Haas says I can use it for robotics or whatever, we opted to go towards, hey, let's help people at that. NASA has been very nice to us. They give us about $10,000 a year, used to support STEM programs, and they also give us 2 mentors for robotics. 2 NASA trained, knowing, no kidding, what's going on, people that come out and give many hours every day. And we greatly appreciate that. Next, some of our Inspire grants, we did have Victor Valley and ABC, California Career Pathways Trust. Okay, so those are driving up. That's an example of where they were supporting us and then they bring you on so you can support the district. Okay? And that's part of the planning. Next. Prospective grants out there. Northrop Grumman, we're working to get a $7,500 for Cyber Patriot and Airframe. Cyber Patriot is pretty cool. They have competitions where they basically blitz your computer and you got to figure out what's going on. Ethan, you still in here? It's pretty cool. They got to figure out what's going on. Right? That's our world, right? How many of us get those messages saying, hey, they broke into your clothes and we have them and we're sorry. Right? So they're going to be hired by those folks. So hopefully we get that. CT Facilities Program, there's grants out there for that. However, that one, I can go give $1 million for a grant. However, the district's got to match that. So I held off on that one for a little bit. It's really tough. Lockheed Martin, $10,000 grant, supports STEM. Once again, STEM is everything. You'll start hearing STEAM. We're trying to bring art into it, okay? Because you also got to have some artistic skill to do some of this stuff. International Test and Evaluation Association, that also supports STEM. And then there is an Ag Incentive Grant that brings in $120,000. That's a big one. However, there's a lot of regulatory requirements that go with that through the FFA, and we've got to support some of those things in order to get it. And that costs troops on that $120,000. So that's something you've got to weigh the return on investment and basically, are you spending more than what you're getting? Okay, so you've got to have common sense in some of this stuff. Next. And that's pretty much all I have. To the community, okay? All of you, like I said earlier, have brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles that work in a lot of companies. All right, I think my man there, did you mention, somebody mentioned grants for sports? They're out there, okay? But we got to know about them. So if you've got somebody that works at Virgin or Spaceship One or all these places and you hear that there's a grant available, send us that information, okay? Now, writing grants is a pain, but we've got a lot of talented people in this district that can get that money coming in. All right, so understand that. But just let us know because we can't see everything, we don't know everything, and we don't have the connections that the community has. You guys know many people. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say I work for the Spaceship Company, and we have grants available at galacticunite.com.
Okay, all right. So I will send Can you just look me up and send me the...
and also,
I'm sure
yeah.
I'm going to get inundated by it.
And also for your apprenticeship programs, we have an amazing apprenticeship program at the Spaceship Company. We're hiring hundreds of people in the next 2 years, 100 by the end of the year. And we really want to mine the community, especially high schools, for apprenticeships in composites. So I would say reach out to the Spaceship Company.
So we will hook up after this and I'll get your information.
Yeah.
And the deal with that is, the reason why we're going after manufacturing basically is, in the current arena, most of the people working at these companies are my age. Retire if I'm working at one of these places. Well, if I held that job for 40 years, there's nobody being trained behind me, so there's no skill sets to fill those jobs. So as they leave, there's that big bubble. Our kids, 18, 19-year-olds, are reaping those benefits right now. Are they going to be at the same level where those folks are? No. It is a good time to get in now, pick their brains, so they can become that 40-year-old old dude that everybody's waiting to retire so they get a job. So that's why we're going after some of those, because sometimes we get jobs and we stay a long time, and when it's time to replace the folks. Okay. So please send that to me, L.Tanksley at SKUSD. You guys, I'm sure, email a lot of teachers. You know, just L.Tanksley and slap SKUSD on it. I will do my best to go after those. Like I said, I'm not a very smart man, but I can put some things down and maybe get some of that grants in. This brings money in, folks, so help us in that arena. And we can go out and get it. And that, it's earmarked for what we go out and get the grant for. Okay, so it's going to be spent for what it's intended for. So just understand that. A lot of it's not to pay for teachers, okay? It's to pay for the equipment, the upgrades, and the stuff so the kids can do their job and learn. So just some of the things on grants. Any questions?
You said that you actually will start some of these programs, right? And then the district will have to take over?
That's the plan. When you start some of the CTE programs, you get seed money to start them, okay? But the end plan is 3 or 4 years down the line, they kind of dry that up so we can roll it into the LCAP or LCF, whatever funding that method is being used. So we can roll that in and eventually the district takes over. They kind of call it supplanting, where if the district should be doing it, and the branch should be in trouble. So there's a lot of technical jargon and stuff that goes into that behind the scenes that people don't see, but you got to use the money for what is needed. And hopefully, you know, you can prove your work. Now, CPE programs that are designed to be self-sufficient. Okay, so a lot of schools we go to, they may have a horticulture. They may grow roses, they may grow things, and they may sell them like out in front of the gas station, or we can set up a fair or something out in front of the school. Our welding makes awesome desks and stuff. So you may have them make a desk and you purchase it. That money goes back in to buy supplies or tools that we may be great by making it. So ideally, we want to be self-sufficient to an extent. It's hard to become self-sufficient to afford a teacher or work with behind the scenes. So, yes, Aaron. Long answer to.
I just gotta share a little bit about this. I'm a recipient of this program. I started back in 2008 at the adult school program. I was able to get my yearly diploma, and after that I went to the art mechanic school and then in construction. And I really ask the board members in the school program to keep this program. It's very important because there's a lot of kids, they get out of the high school and they have no idea what to do in the world. Thank you.
President, high school student, if you want to get us, do you have anything to
Well, I'm really excited for the school year. It's starting up really well. In ASB, we had a lot of meetings already. We're planning stuff already, and I'm actually really excited for the school year. Welcome aboard.
I really appreciate everybody that's here tonight. It was a little overwhelming, to say the least. But it's nice to see that the community's coming together for something that really needs to be done. Our sport programs are the best in the valley, and I think they're one of the best tools to keep kids in school. So I will do my best to try to help and get kids to work. can't say that I'm going to fix everything, but I will help as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. There's a bunch of you, and I know we've had a little bit of problem with the 50 people kind of thing. And someone had mentioned that, well, gosh, we could have moved it to a different venue because we are a small town. We should have known that there's going to be this many people. You know how many times on Facebook it says, get there, get there, get there, get there, and 5 people show up? Well, you could have this all over Facebook, and trust me, we were not expecting, however, 100, 125, whatever it was. We truly weren't. Otherwise, we, would have made accommodations. But I truly, truly do appreciate you coming, appreciate your input, because that's what we need. And that's what we haven't been getting. And it appears, well, it doesn't appear, it usually happens when things are not going well, when there's negativity going on. That's when we hear you. That's when you go, oh, duh, I need to say something, or gee, we need to do this, or that type of thing. So you need to know in the positive times too, we need to hear from you. We need to hear from you no matter what, okay? That's how we find out things. We don't just by osmosis walking through Albertsons or the post office or whatever and pick it up and go, oh, there must be a problem at, no. We need you to tell us. That's why we're here, okay? And it's something that probably we don't communicate enough. But it is. We actually need you to talk to us, to call us, to email us, to stop us on the street. Yesterday, I had 3 people come up to me and say, oh, I have a board question. You know when the last time that happened to me? Yeah, I don't either. Okay? So when things are not doing so well, we get the questions, we get the complaints, we get the concerns. When they're doing well, or when they're kind of, or you know what's happening, you're on the inside, we need to know, okay? And it's just something that I'm communicating to you because it's something that we don't always talk about. We don't, I guess we don't want to say, oh, well, come talk to us. We, I think, assume that, yes, you'll be here, you will come talk to us, or you'll call us. Because let's face it, our name's on, the SKUSD webpage, our phone number, email. So, I mean, it's not like you can't, yeah. And we know where he works. But no, it's something that we need to know. We can't wait till everything doesn't work out the way it should, okay? Now, and I wasn't being the mom and downing you nothing, I really wasn't. I was just trying to say, we really need your input. And tonight I was absolutely blown away with some of the information that we got. Also, as most of you probably know, I'm not going to run for the board again. Now, it does not have anything to do with what's going on in the district right now. I'm 72 years old. Now, we took a vacation, my husband and I, and we were gone about 12 days. And you know what? It was great. It was like, I don't have a meeting, now, did I not work? No, because I have this thing called cell phone. And you still get emails, and you still get the messages, thank you. And that, so, yeah, but it was nice I could just veg. And so we talked about it, and so we decided that, actually, he said that if I did it again, he'd just go on vacation. No, really, it's something that we've wanted to do, and 8 years is a long time, and like I said, I'm, if you turn around, I'm only 27, but, I want a vacation, so. Anyway, everybody that's running, good luck, and I hope you're here truly for the students in the district, because that's the important thing. And you don't know how many times, well, some of you know, how many times I've cried over the kids and how many things have gone on in this district. It's a mom and grandma thing, so, but it's also a caring thing. So thank you again for coming. Appreciate it a whole lot.
Can I ask a question? I wanted to find out who's taking care of the United Park. Is it part of the school district still?
No, it's school district property.
Yeah, because now they.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Can I ask a question real quick? You actually talked about having an insight and want to speak to board members, correct?
Yeah.
That was your statement?
Yeah.
I had a closed door meeting with your board members about a coaching situation. And that coaching situation has went through 3 changes. And I warned you guys of this before. So you're asking for people that have inside information, but when they come to talk to you about certain things, you don't fix the problem.
You've never talked to me.
Okay,
Yeah, you were in that meeting too.
Okay, you also have to understand, there's certain things that we cannot fix. We have to pass the
You
information on.
approve of those things though too, correct?
But we have to pass the information on that we have. Okay, we have 1 employee.
Correct.
1 employee, and that's
But
our
you're talking
superintendent.
about finding out information
No,
on
I
the
understand what
inside.
you're saying, Aaron. I really do.
And I was on the inside,
Right.
and I came to you guys.
Right.
Let you be aware of the situation, and you still made that decision. So that's the reason why I'm asking.
Okay, that part I honestly don't know exactly what, so, and my brain doesn't always work.
Okay, so we're gonna have to.
Yeah, we gotta
have
take
that.
that.
Perhaps an answer might come up a little bit later on in the meeting. So first off, I truly appreciate everyone coming here, especially all the young athletes. They all leave their their coaches,
Unsupervised.
their parents. I think we're going to have a really long meeting today, and it's going to be pretty warm. So please bear with us and stay here, because that's how you find information out. Okay, it's not by saying your piece and then leaving. So stick around, please. But as far as redressing the athletes and the coaches, as a former Roseman athlete, as a former Roseman Booster president, as a former Roseman high school coach, as a former Tropico coach, as a now parent of a Roseman athlete, and as now a board member, I really want to stress how much I believe that sports do help create the environment we want. So when we talk about writing the policies that we need to create these exemplary individuals, these fantastic students who Caleb just bragged about earlier, the best grades in all of CIF. Okay. That is what our overall goal is, and we want to keep doing that. So hearing about possibly cutting Tropico in any manner, I want to bend over backwards to make sure that doesn't happen, because I know for a fact those are our feeder programs. You take away our feeder programs, we go back to what we were doing before we had that, and that was losing. Okay. So that's the type of mentality we want to keep here, and we're going to probably do whatever we can to make it happen. But as we said earlier, it takes everybody figuring out how we can cut these costs so that way we can keep running as a district and not be taken over by the state. Okay. So lastly, before I pass it on, I certainly want to thank Sandy for all her years of service. But I'm sorry, I'm going to be a pain in your butt, and I'm going to make you work to the very last day that you're here.
Thank you.
Be ready, because it's going to be about another 3 months of hard work. And then I'll let you know that.
I'd like to tell everybody that we're really listening to your concerns, and we do need to communicate, like a lot there. I'm just kind of saddened by a lot of negativity that goes on, and just like Mr. Schrader said, that we need to really open up and communicate and talk about it in our families. So we continue to do that. I'm sure we'll get through this. I know it's hard for everyone. It's hard for every department, for every student that's here. I know the athletics is important, but they haven't been got it anywhere. And all these other, programs and educational things happen. We're just trying to make it fair all the way across. And that's kind of what our goal is. And we are going to try and do the best we can with different sports available. Just want to say thank you for everyone for coming, and I appreciate it. Yep. Okay, next we have an RTA report.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Under duress, waiting outside the heat and in here with the heat. Before I get to the podium, I can probably speak off the cuff a little bit. Mr. Gregg, I agree with you. The cutting of transportation for Tropico sports is going to have a negative impact. We're going to work through it, try to figure it out. Mrs. Salazar, where'd she go? Couldn't agree with you more. RTA has asked for the same thing regarding attendance clerks repeatedly in this forum. And is it Major Tanksman? And when you said decrepit old man, I thought you were talking about me. Well, now you get to listen to me more.
Don't let him in.
It's the only reason she's here. Good evening. I want to formally welcome all the teachers and staff to a new school year. Congratulations to the administrators that have moved on to new opportunities and new promotions. I am glad to be back with my students and starting a new year of instruction and explorations in beginning algebra, advanced algebra 1 skills. I know for them, reviewing fractions, rational numbers, order of operations, and properties of real numbers could not be any more thrilling. So I promised you something positive, brought it, but unfortunately I got to continue. We have much more serious issues to address, and I'm going to be pretty brief tonight. On tonight's agenda item 9B is a proposal by the district to reopen certain articles of the RTA's collective bargaining agreement, the CBA. My first concern is the district's disregard for professional courtesy. This proposal should have never reached a board agenda without notification of RTA. I've said dozens of times to the board and the administration that RTA desires to work collaboratively with the district for the benefit of everyone. The district needs to give RTA the same consideration. The district did not bother to notify RTA that they were making a formal proposal for sunshining a proposal for negotiations. It simply appeared on a board agenda. And the second concern is much more severe. This proposal is a clear violation of Article 26, duration. I have provided you with a copy of the article. The district's proposal literally violates all 4 paragraphs of the article. In lieu of a grievance or a possible complaint to PERB for unfair labor practice, RTA recommends the board table the proposal and a similar proposal for CSEA until the district follows the proper procedures. I have worked diligently for more than 20 years as RTA president to forge a positive, collaborative relationship with several superintendents and multiple board members. I have always felt we operated as colleagues, not labor management. I am deeply concerned we are beginning to head down that road. I hope my apprehension is unfounded. I guess I will find out over the next few months. Thank you.
We haven't had cell phones from the beginning of school till now. Why are you doing that in a financial crisis year? You keep putting the money into this and you do it in a financial crisis year. It just doesn't make sense. Also, you can get cell phone plans, 5 cell phones for $200 a month. And that's less than what you spent on the original stipends that you guys have done. So I just want to know how you can justify cutting CSE hours knowing this information. Again, you still keep telling us to be patient when no one seems to be losing anything but the CSEA and the children. You're cutting bus driver hours. This is really insane because there was, in the past, I did a grievance for the bus drivers. I did the routes just like Donna does. I drove the times like the bus drivers did. And it was a very tight schedule, and now you want to cut the hours, and that's the safety of our children on those buses and the bus driver's license on the line and their safety also. And then the huge cut to the after-school program. Now they're taking less students. Now, how is this going to be effective? There are children who, their meals come from eating at school. So there are some that only eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at school. And now we just cut some of those people out. They could possibly be going hungry. Also, they get their extra help with their homework. They get the extra help they need with the work they don't understand. This is coming through the CSEA from the parents and the after-school staff members that help them. We're told that this is a bully-free district, and yet here you guys are bullying us into accepting your agenda.
So I asked to put a regular item on the agenda, a report from the business department. It's kind of obscure what happens in the business department. Honestly, the business department is transportation, food services, facilities, and the finance part. That all falls on their business. So I don't feel as though the business department has had any kind of voice at board meetings. So I felt it was necessary to have a report on a regular basis. So I just wanted to acknowledge the great job food services did at the start of the school year. We had a company come out and test all the hoods at the kitchens to make sure we're fire compliant, and they left them in a state that wasn't operable, so they couldn't use the hoods. But the food service department at West Park got through it, and they were able to serve all the meals without any problems. Wendy was not the most happiest person in the world, but they got through it and they fixed the problems. Facilities has done an awesome job as well. Chase has been working on all of our HVACs. The troubles he's had, personal issues at home. And I really commend them for coming through, really helping out the school district, make sure our HVACs are working at these temperatures. Brad got a promotion, Brad Riley, he went up north to California. Brad was really the guy that was the go-to guy for facilities, and we're going to really miss him. Tim has been really picking up the slack. Tim has been Mr. Maintenance lately, so I really commend Tim on the job he's been doing. And finally, transportation has done an awesome job for the start of the school year. I didn't have one call about transportation. They had it really locked down, and they did an awesome job. Other things we've been working at the business department, we're looking at grants for drought-tolerant fields. So United Park is all grass. We're looking at a grant that would install a field where the grass is, be paid through the state. We have a vendor who's looking at the options. The state is slated to put that out pretty soon, and once they do, we want to put an application in. And that would be like a soccer field that is more drought tolerant. We're looking at grants for electric buses. So the state has a ton of grants for electric buses, but no gas buses or diesel buses. An electric bus is $400,000. We could apply for 2 of them, plus the infrastructure that's necessary to charge these buses. So that's a grant that's out there, and the next board meeting I'm going to ask for a resolution to apply for this grant. We had a call with Moody's credit rating agency. So Moody's is one of 2 big credit agencies, Moody's and S&P. The county was on the call with us. It was just going through our credit rating. It won't affect us in any way since we're not issuing any debt anytime soon. The only people who would affect would be current credit holders, or current bond holders. If they plan on selling the bond, the rating might change, but it's highly unlikely since all of our bonds are tied to properties. And then finally, we're going through an FPM process, which is called a Federal Program Monitoring. It's basically an audit of all of our federal programs. We're working with Deanne's office, or both of her offices, to work on this. It's through the state, and it monitors all of our federal programs. And it's pretty much a year-long program, or audit.
Water.
Okay. I hope that you have, a good start to your school year. I understand that the situation is not, we are not in a good situation, financial situation, but I am encouraged by, working, several people have mentioned working together, coming together for a solution. We've had 4 fiscal meetings where we met with the public, 3 different meetings. Today we met with the staff. We talked about our budget shortcomings, long road ahead of us because it's a pretty big deficit. I know that we'll get through it.
Consent items A through D.
I'd like to request to remove A for discussion.
We can discuss it.
We can just discuss it?
Yeah.
For consent?
Yeah.
Okay. 190178 CSBA membership. Nearly $9,700. I don't believe that we need to have that membership this year. We can either ask to
We need to have it because of all the new laws that come out through get all our board policies reviewed.
So we use Gamut Online, but there's a cheaper alternative, which is just copy and paste and create new web pages. And then what we would need to do in that instance is just follow what new laws are actually being produced and distributed to the country and update accordingly. Just a suggestion or recommendation.
Okay. Anything else?
Nothing else on that list.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Excuse me. When you say over.
What?
The students over this.
Because
We're already past the
yeah, we're already past it. You can do it next board meeting.
Okay. Was it in reference to sport?
Sorry, you have it.
Next board meeting.
Mr. Gutierrez, I hear a second.
I'll second.
Second, Kern, all in favor? Aye.
Nay.
Approved master plan for English learners, Ms. Marcus.
So this was a plan that was created back in 2014, and every so often we update that plan. And really, it gives us a map as to how we're going to help our English learners to become more proficient in English. So we update, as we get new curriculum at all of our different levels. And we updated curriculum in there. We updated. We no longer have CELT, which that was the past test for English learners. Now it's called the LPAT, and so we just had the processes within this plan.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Third reading and approval of board policies, Ms. Hargis.
So this is our third reading, our third and final reading, and so we'll go ahead and ask that we adopt them.
We pulled one policy off because we wanted to review that one because there's some changes that need to be made.
So you talking about the policy that I was proposing or one that
No,
you guys
there were
were
there
looking
was a policy that we did in the first two readings that we pulled for this, which was the
Conflict of interest
for two spouses to be at the same
No, it wasn't on
district.
this, it wasn't on this third reading.
No, it was on the other.
No,
I
it
know.
wasn't.
It wasn't part of this.
I know, that's what I'm telling you, that it's not
Oh,
on this.
okay.
Yeah, it's never been part of that, I know.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Do you expect it to be coming up and become part of a board policy discussion, or is it a dead issue?
Well, it's something that we got to look at some more before it gets put on.
Okay, thank you.
Do I hear a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Notice of Brown Act violation. On July 26, 2018, the interim superintendent received a notice of Brown Act violation from trustee David Gray of alleging that the board can properly discuss in closed session an agenda item being brought forward entitled Financial Recovery Plan, key component, self-generated generation of electricity through distributed solar power via third-party financial structure. The notice recommends placing the item on the next board agenda for open session discussion and that the board take action to grant all permissions necessary to further explore the potential of cost-saving activities. The board has now been advised by legal counsel that it was incorrect to schedule that agenda item for closed session discussion. Therefore, the board has complied with Mr. Gregg's recommendation and it be placed on the agenda for open session discussion. The matter has, in fact, been placed on the agenda for this evening's meeting. Board members may or may not wish to speak to that agenda item. They are not required to grant permission to explore the proposal put forth by Trustee Gregg. Pursuant to the Brown Act, do I have a motion to unconditionally commit that the board will desist from and not repeat the challenge action in placing this or similar items on the agenda for closed session discussion in absence of applicable closed session justification under the Brown Act. So do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Do you hear the motion? Okay. Great, there's a motion. And I'll second it. Sorry for interrupting. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, what was that last paragraph?
Well, what it is that we talked off topic at the closed session, and so, well,
That wanted to be put on there,
yeah,
and I said we could not put it on there.
but our legal counsel advises that this is the direction we have to go, so we have to cease and desist them, that we will not.
Okay.
Okay, so Greg's motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Audit committee formation, Mr. Gregg?
Okay. This is, just so everybody knows, this is not in conjunction with what was just discussed. That is next. But this is an agenda item request that I submitted July 26th as well regarding audit committee formation. Excuse me. Particularly, it applies to policy ensuring accountability to the local community, including personnel, programmatic, and fiscal accountability, and service as a judicial and appeals body as needed. The issue on February 28, 2018, Ms. Jeanette L. Garcia of Jeanette L. Garcia and Associates, Certified Public Accountants, presented the annual audit report for 2016-2017. In her oral presentation, it was disclosed that the Southern Kern Unified School District, or I'll call it SKUSD from now on, if you don't mind, had been deficit spending for a number of years. This, along with other financial revelations, prompted the district to begin cost-saving measures in order to maintain solvency. The fact that deficit spending had occurred for such an extended period of time and that the district was once again facing debilitating debt brings to light the very real issue that there is not an internal audit function to prevent such occurrences from happening. Just relative information to this as far as background. Audit committees and the internal audit function have proven to be an invaluable means for checks and balances. The basic function of financial oversight cannot be argued enough for. However, today's internal audit function goes far beyond its value in the realm of financial management and assurance. The internal audit function can help identify ways of safeguarding assets, avoid waste and inefficiencies, and promote sound business practices. The following are just but a few valuable tasks: efficiency reviews, effectiveness reviews, compliance reviews, which I'll get to in a second here, risk reviews, financial health reviews. Some of the things that have happened could have benefited directly from this. So for instance, your compliance review, our non-compliance costs just alone in the last audit that we had cost us over $100,000 because we didn't tabulate correctly. Attendance, because we dropped from 95 to 92, cost the district $2 million because we don't have an audit committee. As far as financial health review is concerned, the audit committee would also on a monthly basis, if necessary, check the books. Make sure we're not overspending. It's as simple as that. You have one individual creating the budget committee and the superintendent. You have another one making sure they're spending it the right way. And then we don't get out of budget. So there's additional information that will probably be spoken to a little bit later on, but those are essentially the key things about needing an audit committee to be formed, and I'm surprised that it's not been created yet, because we've already been through 2 financial districts just since my children have been in the district. And so I think that this would be very helpful. I understand that we can't take action tonight, or maybe we can. You'll have to give me guidance on that. But I certainly would like to open the discussion. And in addition to the audit committee, it helps bring in the other partners in the community as well as in the school district, because you appoint more than just 2 board members. You appoint CSEA representative, you appoint RTA representative, you appoint citizen representative. I know that we have a citizen oversight committee, but I haven't heard anything from them regarding the bond oversight. This is exactly where they belong, so that way they can make sure we're staying fiscally sound instead of continually spending away like we have unlimited money. I'll turn that over to the board if there are any questions.
Financial recovery plan?
Okay. Second one, financial recovery. This is actually that there was 2 letters. So I'm going to start first with the July 26th. The agenda item request just to have the financial recovery plan in general. Again, it also falls under ensuring accountability. Presently, Southern Kern Unified School District's 2018-2019 projected operating deficit is $3.3 million. Now, this may be changed a little bit, but we'll allow Mr. Nessie to speak more clearly to that. Leaving SKUSD or SKUSD with a balance sheet deficit of $2.7 million. The independent auditor report presented in February to the board suggests that deficit spending has occurred for a number of years. The district currently has a line of credit with the County of Kern restricting its abilities to act. Mr. Janey has been speaking to that, so he's at least addressing some of those restrictions. Each of these factors presents an inherent challenge to the district, as well as it erodes the public's faith in educational services being provided to its children. Full disclosure of the district's financial condition and its financial recovery plan has been lacking up to this point, and it can be surmised that the district is not in good financial health. Obviously, this was some time ago. We're already now in August, but at least we're on the right track. So the background to this, since being appointed to the interim trustee position, the disclosure and discovery of information regarding the financial condition of the Southern Kern Unified School District has been challenging, to say the least. At times, the request for such information has been passively aggressive, confrontational. That has definitely changed, so I thank everyone for helping me on that. But one can only imagine what the general public must feel regarding the seeking out of information from an agency that is there to serve them. Thus far, the information divulged to me has been a moving goalpost, and without the appropriate oversight and accountability measures in place, a goalpost may never become fixed, nor should it be expected in those conditions. It is with a degree of certainty that I state the Roseman community has a perception of mismanagement of funds. It is with a high degree of certainty that I state the Roseman community has no understanding of the financial condition of SKUSD, which leads the community and the district's personnel to question the viability of our local school district. It is also with a degree of certainty that I state the Roseman community's perception of the board to ensure financial accountability is non-existent. Twice now, as I said before, SKUSD Board of Trustees have allowed the district to operate itself into financial disarray, and the appearance of no one being held to account has been the outcome each time. As stated, the appropriate oversight and accountability measures must be put into place in order for the board to restore faith in its stewardship of the by the Roseman community. Besides other agenda items requests submitted June 27, 2018, and the July 26, 2018 audit committee formation, this request specifically targets the disclosure of the district's financial status and financial recovery plans to the public on an immediate and continuing basis until such time that it has returned to good fiscal health. Now, I certainly want to applaud Ms. Hargis and Mr. Evanesian for putting together those financial status meetings for everybody. I think they're at least a great start, and their commitment to continue forward to help disclose that information is only going to help the community continue to come together. But without that openness, without that transparency, then, as Mr. Schrader said earlier, we all will go to our own corners, and you'll see no more help from anybody. So I truly appreciate the hard work that you put into that, and hope that you continue to do that. Now, hopefully on to the second half of this, which is a little bit better news. Let's talk, I apologize, let me kind of just do a recap. With respect to the information that was disclosed so far, last year's budget started out $39 million. First interim budget increased to $41 million. So we already were anticipating that we were only going to spend 39, but now we're all of a sudden spending 41. We anticipated, I should say we were hoping, that Governor Brown was going to issue general obligation bonds to help us pay for our beautiful brand new school over there. But because that has not happened yet, we are obligated to pay interest payments, or lease payments on that building that equates to roughly $2 million. So now instead of $41 million, we have to pay $43 million, or approximately $44 million. That in conjunction with the fact that we went from anticipating 39 to actually only receiving 37 million puts us $6 million in the red. That is unsustainable under any type of circumstance. Now they've already created roughly $500,000 in cuts, which is helping. We've already also projected a budget of $42 million this year based on, based on a 92% attendance rate. That still obviously leaves us $2 million that we have to make up, and we've only cut $500,000. So I think everybody can do that basic math of what we still need to make this district continue to operate. Fortunately, we've got the LOC that helps cover these costs, so that we have a little bit of time to figure out what we can do to bring money into the district or to make the right cuts that don't impact our kids. So that leads me to the original July 11th agenda item. That's the second half of this, the financial recovery plan, a key component, which is self-generation of electricity through distributed solar power via third-party financial structuring. I know that's a mouthful, I apologize, but unfortunately it's going to be a little bit easier to follow once the PowerPoint slideshow is up there for you. So if you could do that for us, I'd appreciate it.
I have a question on the recovery plan.
Yes.
Do you happen to know what the percentage rate of the cost of the employees per school site is?
I don't. That's some information that I'd love to find out. I mean, we have 5 different sites. We act as a unified district. Once upon a time, we were centralized all under Mr. Weinstein's leadership, and there was no detail as far as what each site was actually doing. But I do believe that they took away the budget control from the principals, and therefore they had no idea either. So that would be part of the, to me, that would be part of an audit committee's function, to look at those individual sites and see what is most efficient out of them, who's not doing well. We're not there to penalize you, but we're there to help you succeed and tell you that, hey, if you make these changes, it might help things. You might be up from 90% to 96%.
One of the questions that I have been asked.
Okay.
By the way, it's 82%.
82%
per school site. And then...
so we're at 88, 82%, 88?
No.
Okay.
That is what it costs you to run that school on the budget that the school has.
Okay.
And then as a district, the optimum would be 85%.
Yes.
For expenditures for classified year.
Correct.
And what happened is we anticipated
yes.
And so
no,
I'm just giving you a little background.
Yes. I completely, so I definitely respect that piece of information.
Yeah, but you're making some assumptions that are incorrect.
No, this has nothing to do with what the appropriate rate of your...
No, I'm just saying you didn't do it.
I did, but we'll disagree. We'll agree to disagree.
Okay.
And maybe I should just bring that up right now. We have to stop bundling in CapEx with OpEx. Okay? When we go out and get bonds, that's not continuous money. That's a one-time shot.
It is.
Right, so stop spending it as if it's going to be a continual thing. So that's what I'm saying, don't create it as CapEx, mark it as OpEx, or operating expenditures versus capital expenditures.
Bonds cannot be paid, any bonds that have been sold.
I'm not talking about bonds, I'm talking about grants.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought, okay, let me walk that back.
Bonds
Yeah.
can only be spent on what those bonds were laid out as.
Yes, okay,
So,
I agree
like
with you
the
there.
school, bond paid for, bond.
It was
Lease
not.
payment, yes,
You're
it was.
talking about Prop 51, which we never received confirmation that we were going to have those funds. It even detailed in the information that you get this letter, it's not a golden guarantee. You have to go through the next steps and then you get that money. Partially.
Bond only, there was going to be a $2 million because it's supposed to be in the classroom, has not been made.
Yes.
And that's what that is.
Okay, so the hardship bonds that we keep talking about, the $8 million that should have came in.
That, again, we're still waiting on
Right. And
funding from it. And that's to get rid of every student who was in Florida.
yes. No, I'm not saying that we made bad decisions as far as trying to anticipate our growth. I'm just saying we probably made some bad decisions on how to spend the money. And then the report also shows that in order to kind of try to make up for that misstep, we started spending other money that shouldn't have been spent. You talk about other grants, you talk about taking
Those grants were never spent on other things, and then.
Okay, well, I'll defer to the independent auditor's report and the whole reason why we're here in the first place. Okay. But we can talk about it a little bit more at length. But I agree, I don't know everything yet, but I certainly want to find out, because how do we fix a problem that we only know half the problem too?
Right, and so we got the auditor's report this way, and a lot of things came to light.
Right.
And that's why we have an auditor. We have to change auditors every 3 years. We don't want to have the same one working with the same system.
Sure.
And by state, you have to run it for 3 years. And then we have to take it.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's just a really good control put in place to make sure that there isn't collusion going on there between the two. So
just that's a little background for you. I know you don't know.
Thank you. Okay, so the June 11th. So I guess I should say the need for the financial recovery plan needs to be more than just cuts. We have to start looking for opportunities to bring additional revenues in. The CTE program is a perfect example because even though they do bring in those grants, they help us cover some of those employee costs. Imagine that. But there's probably several other grants out there that we might be able to do to help us get through this instead of always looking to first cut. Those things are necessary, but I'm saying that there's also other alternatives.
Grants are one-time money that you cannot continue to use.
Correct. But they would help cover the loan that we just took out from Kern County. Okay, so let's run through this slide. I'll show you.
You can't use grant money to supplement anything else.
But you can use that in specific instances in order to offset anticipated expenditures.
Not for the rest of the district, no.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The district is not projected to have a positive cash flow until 2021 or 2021 school year. So the proposal that I first presented obviously was probably just miscommunication on my part because I wasn't here. I apologize. I thought that it might be something that's a no-brainer because it costs the district nothing to gather to get the information. But there perhaps some procedures in place that are necessary. At any rate, the district has an opportunity to renovate itself, if you will, and bring in additional financing through this proposal. I recently reached out to some contacts that I have and spoke to them about the district's financial situation. One such contact is a gentleman by the name of Chirag Patel. He's the president of Eco Electrics USA, a company that specializes in the residential small commercial space, solar space, I'm sorry. Now, maybe some of the resistance was that the district already put forward an RFP last year just regarding this exact thing. But the problem that they had is that they weren't looking to have creative finance come in for them. They flat out said, we don't want anything else except to buy this. We have this money already, we have a certain amount, we're going to use these funds, and we're going to leverage that through our own ability to finance. So therefore, the proposals that you get back are only going to be proposals that cost the district money. So in this instance, it may not have been communicated clearly enough that there's no cost up front in this presentation. But based on some discussions with Mr. Avanesian and the fact that we spend roughly $660,000 a year in electricity, and that would, in solar capacity, equate to 2.75 megawatts, we, through a structured deal, could give ourselves the ability to have upfront cash of anywhere from 1.6 to 2.4 million. This is not a grant. We could also negotiate for electricity cost holiday, which means you just don't pay your electric bill for a couple of years, 1 to 3 years. And then lastly, we would be able to freeze our electricity rates right now anywhere from 12 to 25 years, which, if you look at the historical trajectory of electricity, even if you look back to 2006, we were paying half of what we're paying now. So project that forward in 10 years. If we're paying $600,000 now, we're likely going to be paying 1.2 million. So the presentation that I'll walk everybody through is not my own, it's just a generic example. And obviously, I'm not speaking on behalf of Eagle Electrics. I'm just trying to give ourselves the opportunity to at least hear from that company to see what they could possibly do for us. What's that? It wasn't emailed to you?
You emailed several, so I'm not
The
quite
PowerPoint, just to pull up the...
Which one?
Either the PowerPoint or the PDF, they're both exactly the same.
I have this.
The one that you're holding in your hand, yeah. Nope.
So
Okay,
this
so
particular one, I just can't locate this one. Is this the one?
yes, it is. That's the one. Would you like me to resend it to you? Yeah. Here on our own accord. And I want to make sure I read this disclaimer back to the first one really quick. This disclaimer. Information contained in this presentation is for illustration purposes only and should be considered generic in nature. Financial estimations and ranges are only meant to establish a basis for discussion. In no way do the figures described in this presentation constitute a contractual agreement between any of the parties identified. The contractual terms, financial benefits, as well as financial obligations will be determined by the contracting parties if and when such actions are taken. So ultimately, what's going to have to happen is we have to agree that we want this, and then they would negotiate a contract for us. So our current electricity delivery arrangement, right now it's pretty simple. We just pay money to Edison and they give us electricity. That's what kilowatt hours are. And, excuse my annotations, K stands for 1,000, and M stands for million, so 660,000 per year is what we pay. Next slide, please. Some of the liabilities of this is obviously the history of rate increases. As I mentioned earlier, going from what used to be 11 cents, 12 cents per kilowatt hour in 2006 now to nearly 24 cents, and it will just continue climbing. It's a single source provider, so we have a lack of negotiating power with them, and then also there's essentially limited value with that system. We can't touch it, so there's no educational opportunities for us with their infrastructure. So that's just something that I want to throw in there. Third, or next slide, please. So transitioning to solar electricity. The reason why you want to do that is because you can fix and reduce your annual costs. What you want to make sure you do is avoid any capital outlay, especially under our circumstances. You want to secure, if possible, district improvement funds, and then eventually you want to move to grid independence, because as you move away from having to need the utility companies, you have a greater bargaining position. Next slide. Okay. So we'll start off with fix and reduce annual costs. Right now, the industry model is to go out and get solar on your rooftop, and that's going to cover some of your electrical costs. In this instance, I'm stating that you could potentially cover 90% of your costs. You could probably do about up to 100, but then the financial numbers don't quite pan out to your benefit. But a good solar electricity contract would target equal to or less than terms. So if we can get electricity delivered from solar at the same price, if not less than Edison, and still have the backup of Edison, then why wouldn't we? Especially if we can fix that price and ensure that we have no more rate increases. So the top three benefits obviously are electricity supply is fixed. We have capacity offsets. I can talk a little bit more about that later. But there is system value in that scalability. We eventually have revenue opportunities and also educational benefits could come into play. So next slide. So the main thing is we want to avoid capital outlay. Last year's RFPs would suggest that we'd have to put out a bunch of money in order to save that $660,000 a year. So that's not on the option, one of our options. You can't read it because it's so small, but the ownership options, in addition to equity or capital outlay, is you go out and you get financed, you get debt. You have finance and you have capital leases. In both of those cases, we can't do that because the terms of our LLC in 5.7, 5.8, 5.9, 5.10 specifically say we cannot bring in any more debt to the district while we're trying to fix ourselves, which makes perfect sense. Okay? But there are three remaining options that are not debt. General accounting practices do not count that as debt. It's just an expense on a monthly or annual periodic basis. So in this instance, it's either an operating lease, a power purchase agreement, which is a utility-like contract, or a power purchase agreement that is for energy services. So the difference between those last two is that in a utility-like contract, you're basically paying no matter what. Okay? We don't want that kind of an agreement because then that puts us in a position of having some liability in the event that the system goes down. Okay, now we have to maintain it. What this proposal focuses on is the energy service contract, which basically incorporates and ensures that the system's up by providing maintenance and uptime guarantees at whatever the contracted price is. So if we can deliver the amount of electricity that we need to ourselves at the current rate of what we're getting it from Edison for, then now we have the type of transition that we want. So the top considerations, as I said, is ownership, energy price, system maintenance, and insurance requirements. On to the next. Now that you understand that we're looking for an energy service contract that doesn't have us put out any money, that's not going to increase our already existing expense, we want to see if there's an opportunity to get some of that money back. So if you think about the large arrays out there off of Avenue A or Avenue D, okay, they're growing here all the time, and we're not taking advantage of all the tax dollars yet, but potentially we will at some point. You have to consider that those individuals either had their land bought out from them, or they're leasing that land to those solar developers for an annual payment. Okay? Normal contracts, such as Sunrun Solar City, don't offer that to the homeowner. They just say, you're going to give us access to your roof free if you want this power. But what I'm saying here is we have an opportunity, because he's willing to help us in our financial need, to enter into a facilities and lease agreement with us that would give us a consistent payment for the same duration as the time that we're willing to enter into an energy service contract. So if we're going to agree to buy power at $600,000 a year for the next 12 years, he's going to enter into an agreement with us to lease that space where he's going to put it for the next 12 years. And part of agreements like that always provide options to prepay. So once certain milestones are met as far as developing the the project, such as engineering design approvals through DSA and through the local county, building and codes requirements. Once that milestone is hit, they're willing to prepay for that land lease. Or in this instance, I'm going to talk to you about facilities lease because we want to expedite this as quickly as possible. At any rate, that's where we have the ability to negotiate a contract with them that gives us that money up front, because what he's really doing is just paying for the right to put his asset on our roof so that he can provide us electricity. Then you have to think about, okay, well, what is he getting out of it? Well, he gets the money for developing the project. He gets the big nut, the $6 million that we're not willing to give him. He's going to go to a bank and say, I have this credit-worthy customer who's willing to pay every single year, and you know they will because they're a school, so they have to. And he's going to go straight to the bank and say, I want you to finance this for me so that I can put this on their rooftop. And when he gets that money from that bank, he turns around and gives us our money for letting him have access to the buildings and to the land potentially. So that's how the district receives some funds. So I talked to you a little bit about moving to grid independence. Roughly 3 to 6 months engineering approval effort. DSA already has pre-approved checklists for solar because solar is so integrated into our educational community, if you will. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight. It could take a long time, but we want to make sure that he's working in our best interest, because the faster he gets through that approval process, the faster he gets his money. Why would he take his time? At any rate, once you get through that approval process, the DIF milestone comes down, and then that's when we go into construction. So it still is going to take a year, maybe a year and a half to ultimately get that system put on if we decide we wanted to do this. But at the end of the day, once that system is on, now we start saving money from not paying Southern California Edison anymore. And if we've negotiated a holiday on our electrical costs through this contract, we might be able to defer those energy costs for 1, 2, if not 3 more years, which would obviously continue helping the district out. So imagine not having to pay an electric bill for the next 3 years, period, to either Southern California Edison or the solar company. Eventually, let me talk a little bit about phase 1. Obviously, we want to put this on as quickly as possible so that we can get that district improvement fund through that land lease. But we also have to keep in mind that we have big grand plans for this place. We're going to ultimately put in this master plan of creating brand new high school buildings, and we want to have what everybody else has, the integrated building integrated systems, along with the nice covered shade parking. We don't want to do that covered shade parking because that's even longer at DSA, and that might not even be our parking lot at the end of the day when we do build ultimately, wherever it is at. So placing it on the rooftop first and having the ability to remove those panels and put them in the parking lot at a future point in time is the flexibility we want with this. So phase 2 accounts for a master plan. Just moving that system over and then adjusting based on whatever our needs are. Phase 2, that grid independence. You have energy redundancy, you have it's grid reactive, there's load shifting, site scalability, there's educational opportunities and revenue potential. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's move on to the next slide. And talk about benefits of the transition. Phase 1 contract. If we were to enter into this with them, zero capital outlay, we avoid our debt increase, and we negotiating that contract with fair market value purchase option at the end anyways. So after he's made whole, after the bank is made whole owning this, we would have the right to buy this out at a very low cost. We get that 1.6 to 2.4 million in district improvement funds up front from the lease agreement. We save 1 to 3 years worth of electricity costs, and we fix our rate at 12 to 25 years. There's also some obscure stuff called REC revenue, or renewable energy certificate revenue. It's just for producing green energy. Corporations out there like Coca-Cola and Google will buy that right to claim those green energy certificates. It's weird, but There's people that'll pay for it, so that could be extra money for the district, but we would not count on that in any manner. Phase 2 would take advantage of all the same stuff, but potentially some R&D investment tax credits as well, because now we have the opportunity to build an integrated. I don't want to speak too much about phase 2 because those are some additional things down the road that could potentially be there, but let's not count on what's potentially going to be there. Let's count on what we have in hand right now. Next, there's going to be questions as soon as I'm done. Right here. Okay. So lastly, the next steps: permit solar electric service provider, in this case Eco Electrics, and we obviously open it up to anybody too. Any other company out there that wants to try to match us, let them have their shot. If we can find somebody else who is going to give us more money than he is, then let's take it. Okay? That's what's going to help us get our district back on track, I think. Historical energy usage to determine SKUSD's energy profile. So there's no cost to this. We're basically just letting him know that, or giving him the permission to ask Southern California Edison for exactly how we consume energy. What time of the day do we consume it? What time of the year do we consume it? How much do we consume on an annual basis? How much do we consume on a monthly basis? All this stuff is utilized through to create calculations that tell you exactly what type of solar system you should have for your to meet your specific needs. It's different for homes, it's different for businesses, it's different for the utility company because they have different needs all the time. The next step after that would just be let him provide the proposal to us and let anybody else put their hat in the ring too. That's a nominal cost because in that instance, then it's just the district that has to review that. Once we figure out which direction we want to go, we would accept the proposal and then we would have a minimum cost because obviously we want to submit it to the school's legal services for them to review the contract and make sure that all the legalese are covered, as well as we're not putting ourselves in a pinch with possibly DSA or any other entities that would need to make sure that this is an appropriate installation. Once that process gets done, you go on to the next step, which is just awaiting that engineering approval process. At the end of that engineering approval process, which there's no cost to us for just waiting, we get that in district approval fund. So it could immediately infuse capital into the district. And then after that approval process is completed, they have the green light to start construction. Once the construction is done and they commission the system and it starts delivering electricity to us, we start saving instantly. So those are the things that I wanted to cover. I thought it might be a no-brainer. Obviously, the first time I sent all this information, I didn't have this PowerPoint, so maybe that would have helped. I apologize. I'll be a little bit more thorough next time. But the added benefits of this proposal or any other proposal is that we also have the opportunity to potentially capture additional funds. So for instance, the AEVG grant, the adult ed, $500,000, possibly a little bit more. Mario asked, well, how in the heck could we do that? We have to spend it on what we need to spend it on because it's program guidelines. Absolutely. But there's nothing says that we can't use that $500,000 to build the structure that supports the solar. Okay, so all those costs of the retrofits, that can be covered by the AEVG grant. And if we're spending $500,000 on that through this grant, and guess what that means we're going to be able to capture on that district improvement fund. Now we have a higher negotiating position to negotiate a higher lease with them. He just saved $500,000 because he doesn't have to spend any more, so he can pass that on to us. Same thing with potentially that electric bus grant. I know that's down the road, but if there's a portion of that can be covered by that grant to create the recharging infrastructure for it. All the electric utility work, it costs a lot to bring in additional power or to even just move power from one location to another. Utility companies come back and say, oh, well, it's going to cost you $260,000 to move from that side of the street over to this side of the street. That's that grant money that gets there for you. Okay. But, so what I'm saying is that this could just be the start of it. If we start thinking about what opportunities might we be able to capture, if we stop just focusing on cuts only, we start thinking about how can we make some money potentially. I know it's a little bit outside the box, so I don't want to dig in any deeper to what additional benefits are from distributed generation. I think we can all speculate that on that at the appropriate time. Right now, let's just keep the focus on whether or not this would be beneficial to the district, and all we have to do is just give him the right to access our historical energy usage. Just get the ball rolling.
I accept it.
Yes.
I was someone, even business, give money, where's my return?
Okay, so let me, without disclosing any trade secrets, he's getting $6 million, assuming he gets $6 million to install this system. It's not costing him $6 million.
Right, to build it. But who is going to be paying him that $6 million?
The bank. Sorry, so if we'll
Okay, now,
backtrack.
why would the bank give him $6 million to build a solar system for himself, basically?
No. So the contract passes through our annual payment. Is actually what's going to own the system. They're the owners. If you'll back up a couple slides out.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing it.
Right, well, to help them visualize it as well. Okay, the fine print, obviously right there. So you see third-party financing is underneath Eagle Electric. Eagle Electric is just the service provider. It could be anybody. It doesn't even need to be them. But he's getting the $6 million. He's not paying $6 million to install it, so he makes a profit. U.S. Bank now owns that solar asset. So on that flow chart, you see that U.S. Bank owns it, and they get to collect that $600,000 a year that we would typically pay. No, for the term of the contract. Whether it's 12 years, so a 12-year lease or 12-year power purchase agreement is typically okay, so let me give a little bit of a financial education here then too, because I can see where he's coming from. $6 million or $600,000 times 12 is only $7.2 million. Right? Okay. That's not very much return on your investment when you've already put up $6 million. What you're not appreciating here, or what maybe most people don't understand, is that because this is a renewable energy investment, there are federal tax credits that U.S. Bank gets to take advantage of. 27% of the total tag price is immediately written off in tax payments to U.S. Bank. They have a pretty big tax burden. In addition to that, they get to take advantage of the depreciation of that asset. So you take $6 million and you apply that to the MACRS that's in place, modified accelerated cost recovery system, and you get to take another 20% off. So U.S. Bank's not putting up $6 million. They're putting up like $3.6 million, and they're getting $7.2 million back. They just doubled their money in 12 years. That's the IRR that they're looking for.
Basically, we would be selling the contract. He would be selling the contract to U.S. Bank.
Yes.
For the $6 million, so they could make a percentage, because usually it's like a 10 to 15% return rate on any loan from the bank.
Correct. Yeah, they're making much higher returns. If anybody wants to model IRR on roughly $12 million after putting $6 million in the first year, it's much more than 10%. That's just why Solar One, the largest solar field, is right sitting out there, because the majority of it was paid for. Yes, I agree. You should be putting rocks down, not just exposed dirt. Shouldn't be scraping it. But anyway, and that may be another reason why we consciously say we're not going to put this on dirt. We're going to put it right on top of our rooftops where the footprint is already established. Instead of turning United Park into a big solar field. I know. So that's what I wanted to present to the board. I think that it's a viable opportunity. We don't know until we get a proposal from them on what that actually could be. The numbers could be much lower. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, especially once they take a look at our energy load or energy profile and find out when we're buying power and when we're not, and what type of physical roof space we have, where we're willing to put these assets, because that dictates exclusively how big of a system you can put on there. So that 2.75 megawatt facility that's worth $6 billion may not be that big. It may only be half of that. So instead of carving out $600,000 out of our electric bill, we only carve out $300,000. But that $300,000 gets locked, and instead of a 1.6, we get 800 grand. It's worth the time of not spending any money to hear what he has to say. And I certainly want to say that we should open it up to a full proposal, as long as we know that we're moving expeditiously to help recover the school district as quickly as possible. Certainly, a couple $1 million could either repay our loan, our letter of credit, or the savings that we receive on an annual basis could be that last little bit that we need in order to help us cover our deficit for the next couple of years that we're projecting we're going to be in the hole. So I think there's a lot of benefits. There's probably also a lot of questions, so I appreciate all those questions you just asked, Mario, because they help everybody understand. So. Is there a question?
I did.
We allowed to. We can't motion to open up a discussion. Okay. Because it's not on the thing. So, okay.
So, modifications of board policy number. Mr. Green.
Okay. This was my last one. I apologize. But they didn't all come in at once, I promise. Okay, June 27th, board agenda item requests a modification of board policy 9200, limits of board authority. Individual board members shall submit requests for information to the superintendent. The issue: in order for a board member to adequately fulfill his or her obligation to the community, a board member must not be restricted and or limited in the performance of a function. Sentence 2 of paragraph 4 of board policy 9200 both restricts and limits a board member from performing the role and responsibility of the appointment entrusted to them. The board and its individual board members cannot ensure accountability with such a restriction and limitation of information request. The board and its individual board members cannot communicate clear information to the community about policies, educational programs, physical condition, and progress on goals with such a restriction and limitation of information request. The board and its individual board members cannot ensure that a positive personnel climate exists with such a restriction and limitation of information request. The board and its individual board members cannot properly conduct oversight with such a restriction and limitation of information request. And furthermore, the board and its individual board members cannot ensure ultimate responsibility over the performance of those powers or duties so delegated. Specifically, California Ed Code 35161. The governing board, however, I apologize, excerpt. The governing board may delegate to an officer or employee of the district any of those powers or duties that by law they're granted. The governing board, however, retains ultimate responsibility over the performance of those powers or duties so delegated. So it doesn't matter that we entrusted our superintendent, we're still responsible. Through the misuse of this board policy, a superintendent has the ability to withhold information from the board. Information can be colored or tainted. The ability for information to be selectively provided by one individual creates the opportunity for the board to be misguided and fooled. Such a policy completely disables and denies the board and its individual board members from fulfilling their responsibility to the public. A little bit of background here. At present, SKUSD is in a financial crisis. Not only is SKUSD currently anticipating that the district will operate in the negative for fiscal year 2018-19, SKUSD is in jeopardy of being taken over by the state if we don't get our financial affairs in place, in order. That's how I apologize. Janie's obviously helping with us with that to make sure that that's the right path. But the existing dilemma stems directly from the fact that all information was controlled and managed by the superintendent. Board policy restricted the board and its individual board members from querying other personnel of the district to ascertain the full picture and/or pertinent facts regarding the financial condition of SKUSD. Instead, the superintendent was given the means to color and withhold information from the board. If the board was being denied information in this one particular area, then it is reasonable to believe that such information was either being withheld or shaded in other areas of concern and responsibility to the board. What is the true climate of SKUSD personnel? What is the real condition of programs in progress? These duties of the board to monitor and report to the community are entirely at risk with Board Policy 9200 in place as it is. Furthermore, in order to maintain compliance with the Brown Act, individual board members must be given the freedom to inquire and request information from district and school personnel. It potentially creates a violation of the Brown Act to first seek permission from the board, as the matter would then become an issue of public discussion. How that affects us is it also threatens the risk of telegraphing to the superintendent or other personnel the desired information being sought.